Hello, it's Angela. Welcome back to my channel, Literature Science Lines, and today I'm just going to do a book tag. I was tagged by the Michael Nip, who has an amazing channel, so you should definitely go check it out. Lots of great fantasy content, lots of good humor and insight, and I'm just really glad he tagged me in this, and it seems pretty fun. So this is the finish the book tag, so kind of going through your process after you finish a book, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to also briefly talk about how I rate books, since I think that's a prompt in here. So I'm going to have the questions on my phone because I have kind of prepared, but I think it's probably better if I just went off the cuff for this one. So the first prompt is, do you keep a list of books you have read? To an extent, ever since 2016, I have had a pretty good Goodreads account. If I've read it, I logged it in there. Now, before 2016, I'm not as good at that. But I really, the organized person in my soul, really likes Goodreads for that. And only that, because its other features are pretty much garbage. So number 2 is, if I record stats, what do I record? Well, this is new. So besides Goodreads, this year I do have a spreadsheet. I actually got it from What Cass Read. I'll link her channel below. She actually has a spreadsheet there. And so her spreadsheet goes over a lot of things. But for me, I'm mainly doing how many pages, the dates I've read them, the typical genres they are, and sort of things like that. I don't really know what I want to know about my statistics yet, so I am kind of filling in her whole sheet, which is really in depth, down to country and origin, which is cool, and I kind of do want to make sure I'm reading more diversely, so I'll probably use that column as well. But that's still really new to me. Looking at stats like that in depth is not as normal. Do I give star ratings for books? If so, how do I score them, and how do I come about this score? So I do the typical 5-star scale with some half stars. I don't do quarter stars. I'm not that into it, and it's very it's very scientific. No, it's not scientific at all. But it is based primarily on enjoyment, and sometimes some of the things that affect my enjoyment are objective things to some extent, at least objective for me in comparison to other works I'm reading in that genre. And I also do tend to compare books to other books in their genre when I'm reading it. I don't know, if I'm reading a classic, I'm going to rate it compared to other classics I've read. I'm not going to compare it to a modern high fantasy that I devour, because they're different books. I'm also picking them up for different reasons. So let's just get into the star rating. My 1 stars. I probably DNF'd the book. Don't know in my mind a 1-star book that I have finished. I mean, there are some that I feel are close, but they didn't make me angry enough. I definitely have plenty of 2 stars that I finished because I am really bad at DNFing. But even classics that I was forced to read in high school that I wasn't big on, I do not remember ever being this is a 1-star read. At least not right now. But that's probably what that means. 2-star is, this was really upsetting to me. It was mediocre. I did not like it. Why did I read it? I have objections. I did not enjoy my experience. It's what a 2-star is for me. And now that can come from it actually being bad to it just making me angry. Like I said, it's very subjective. So yeah, that's my 2-star. 3-star, fine. It was fine. I mean, sometimes I'll even put books there that 3 stars that I just was this was okay. It's not giving me a large emotional response. So it's not going to get a 2-star because it didn't upset me. But it's not going to be a 4-star. And then I do have 3.5 stars where it's so close to being a 4-star. And I will always mark those in my Goodreads, but I always round up to a 4 just because I don't want to I would rather always round up. I just don't want to harm a book's rating. I mean, I'm just one person, but that's just how I feel about it, is that I will write my review and say it was a 3.5, but I will round up to a 4 when I rate it. And 4s are books that I really like, that are great, that were really fun. They didn't blow me away, but they were an awesome time. And I, was excited to pick them up again and things like that. They normally have something tangible that I can tell why it's not a 5-star. That could be plot or characters. It's usually characters. It could just be that it wasn't my genre. Like, I don't think that I've ever read a classic that would be a 5-star. Just because that's not the writing style that I gravitate towards. And this is based on enjoyment. And so that's just where I land. Now, 5 stars. 5 stars I am obsessed with. I can't stop thinking about them. I escape completely into the book. Like, it does not matter that my phone's next to me. The phone doesn't exist. That's a 5-star. 5-star is something that makes me forget I have a phone. And it can have flaws. Like, 5 stars aren't perfect. I rate A Course of Mist and Fury 5 stars. That is not a perfect book. But I enjoy the shit out of that book. I stay up till 3 a.m. reading that book. That book is a 5-star on my enjoyment scale. So that's how I do it. It's really enjoyment based, and if it doesn't completely make me obsessed, then there's just normally something missing. Probably writing style or characters. So that's how I rate it, and if I'm ever like wonky on it, I'm usually pretty forward with it in my Goodreads or my wrap-ups. So that's how I rate books. And now the next one is, do I review books? Yes, I have a booktube channel and I have a pretty active Goodreads. I'm still working on getting Bookstagram up. I'm not like an actual photographer. I have a nice camera now, but I have to learn how to use that. So it's something I do want to be better about, though, because I do like reviewing books, because I love recommending books. I love being like, this book will probably work for you. Like, I'm like a book matchmaker. I just love doing that. I love picking a book that maybe was only a 4-star for me, but knowing it'll be a 5-star for my friend and giving it to them. So that's who I am. So yes, I review books. And let's see, where do I put my finished books? Normally back at the library. I think last year I read 50 books from the library of the 70 that I read, or 67 I read. I live in a 1-bed apartment. I already doubled my bookshelf space from when I moved here, and it was already a pain to move one bookshelf. So I really try to limit the number that I buy if I can. So I support the library a lot. So typically just return it and pick up what other stack I had there on hold. How do you pick your next book? It's usually just whatever that came in from the library. I find now that I make my TBRs, I do try to make sure I'm actively continuing series that I've been reading, so I don't let too much time pass. I've been pretty good about that, I think. There's a series TBR and wrap-up coming up in the near future, so that'll really tell once I put that together. And I have a bunch of books that have caught my eye on my Goodreads want to read, so occasionally I'll go through that and pick a few of those to put on hold at the library. And I do have I have a small physical TBR that I do try to knock some books off of, especially when my boyfriend brings over some. He's like, you need to read this. So I try to, within a couple months, get it in the pile. I actually have to, what's the one he really wants me to read right now? The Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut. He's like really hit or miss for me, I think. Well, actually, I've only read one by him. And I did like it. It was Slaughterhouse-Five. He's just a weird writer, so I have to be in the mood. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. I just kind of, I guess I mood read, pick my TBR, but once it's set, I just read what's there. And do I have any rituals for when I finish a book? Mike had this really funny response about fires and burning things. I don't have that creativity right now. When I finish a book, it depends on the book. So if it's a 5-star book, and it just blew me away, well, chances are I'm vlogging it now, and I just, like, stare at the camera. I'm just like, it ended. I typically just text anyone I knew who would want to read it, like, you need to pick up this book. So I, like, go on instant PR mode for the book if it's a 5-star. I always open Goodreads, I think, like, right after I finish a book and say either finished or give it a star rating. Then if I just, like, no. If I don't have to sit on it, sometimes I have to sit on it. If it's like one of those 3 or 4-star books, I'm like, where did it go? I have to think about it. So yeah, it's not like a ritual, but that's what I do. If it's amazing, I go crazy. If it's really like bad, which hasn't happened to me a lot, but I guess last month, if you hadn't known, I had a Brave New World review where I was upset. So I like I guess that ritual was I wrote a review with all my thoughts, trying to figure out what to rate it, and I made a video about it. So I don't know, I don't really have rituals. I pick up another book almost instantly. I like having a book that I'm reading. And who do I tag? Alright, so I'm going to tag 3 people, and you should follow all of these people. I'm just saying that up front. But we got, you guessed it, Angie from Science Mama. I'm just going to keep pushing her channel because a lot of you guys probably like fantasy, and she does a lot of cool mystery and historical fictions, and those are also great genres that you should check out. And I would also just love to see how she rates books and does stuff like that because we're both new here. And then Stephanie from Miss Richards Reads. I don't know, she does a lot of reviews, so I'm curious about her process. I think it's also probably an enjoyment scale, but I want to hear it. So tagged your Stephanie. And then there's a new person I started to follow. It's Savvy Reads. I really like their approach to content, and I just want to know how they approach books. They also seem to read books that aren't on my radar, which I like because I like being exposed to new things. So yeah, all 3 of you, consider yourself tagged. And yeah, so thanks Mike again for tagging me in this. I actually haven't realized if you're okay with Mike. Is it Michael or Mike? Michael, comment that below. Let me know what I'm allowed to call you. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.